did rotate my device. There we go. Or was it locked? Guess we're going this way. Can anybody see this? It looks like I got 4 people. All right. So someone has to post some comment in the chat below. And I would love to know what. There we go. Hey, all right. Sweet. So this is, I just literally today got access to the YouTube live streaming. So I thought I would give it a crack. There you go. Daniel, see, we were trying yesterday. I was like searching on YouTube to see if I had this, and I didn't. And now here it is. Whoa, everyone's comments just vaporized. That's super weird. Oh, and now they're back. Hey, Ryo. There we go. Now we got it. Now it's going. Now it's working. So what makes them fade away? I guess it's the number? Weird. Huh. I sound like I'm on helium. Really? Huh. I'm trying to use the microphone on my headset, but I don't know if it's working. Let me try. Is it sounding weird for everybody else as well? Welcome to using new things. Well, maybe I just sound... my voice is all helium-y today. You don't know. Let's see. Weird. Okay, it's fine. So I'm going to take... If something's fine, then I'm not going to try and fix it. I've had enough of trying to wrestle with computers and technology for the last day. So, hey, Chris. Welcome to the chat. Now, is anyone watching this on desktop? Would be the first question. So if you're watching on desktop and I'm holding the phone vertically, then what does it look like? Is it like this weird little vertical window in the middle of your desktop with something on either side? And I wonder, won't let me rotate the phone? Yeah, okay. And then, but some of you are watching this on, so it looks like a vertical window. Okay, so I'm going to turn it. You just start the stream in I did start the stream in landscape, and it's saying rotate the device, and then it's just showing me a little lock thing. There you go. So let me just see if I've got my rotation locked, which I don't think I do. No. Portrait mode. Auto rotate. Okay, let's see if this works. All right, so I've turned it, and it's still telling me maybe it's too late now. So I've got to leave it locked at this point. But the people who have it on the phone can see it This is going to be a huge problem. We are entering a new holy war, I think, where people are going to have the people want to receive their content on their phones, like the Snapchat people and the Instagram Live. And then we've got all of the people who have, they're used to watching video and stuff on their desktop. I've been doing a lot of live streams with Instagram, which has been a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoy the Instagram live streaming. So if you haven't already, follow Universe Today over on Instagram, and then you'll get a notification when we do this. It's a totally different audience, though. It's not, they don't kind of know who I am, and so they sort of show up, and then they want to know if Planet X is going to kill us all or things like that. But I do enjoy it, so it's sort of like a new audience. But they all want to know if I believe in UFOs, and they all want to know if I think Planet X is going to kill us all. No and no are the answers to those questions. Yeah. What about Planet Z? Planet Z is a big problem, and we all need to be concerned about it. Is Planet X? I just said no. Planet X is not going to kill us all. But the thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to get to do the live stream using the way that I normally did. But yesterday, when we had this horrible snowstorm here in Western Canada, and my internet was terrible, and so it was dropping frames. So I switched to Instagram, and apparently that was dropping frames too. So it's something upstream on my internet. Now, how do I make the chat show up? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so we got some questions. All right, let's get cracking then. So NK wants to know, how far will JWST be able? I don't like how they fade away like this. To see relative to Hubble, how much better will it be? Better is kind of a relative term because Hubble is good at things that the James Webb Space Telescope is just not going to be able to do at all. Hubble can see in the visible, Hubble can see in ultraviolet. James Webb is an infrared telescope. So, but in the infrared, it's going to be a phenomenal telescope. And the best way to think about it is right now when we get all of these news stories about how the Hubble Space Telescope is seeing galaxies that are 500 million years after the Big Bang, things like that, the way it's doing it is using some kind of bank shot, right? They're using dark matter or another galaxy as a natural telescope to then be able to perceive something that's behind it. And so what you get then is you're able to see these hints of these galaxies that are far off. James Webb Space Telescope is going to be able to do this directly, brute force. It's just going to be able to go and look right out to the edge of the observable universe. Literally, if this galaxy exists in our universe, pretty much out to the very edge, if it's sizable, James Webb is going to be able to see it directly, which is just mind-bending. It's also going to be able to observe the atmospheres of planets orbiting other stars, helping us see if there's maybe life on some of them. So the James Webb is going to be a dramatic leap forward. At the same time, we don't really know. The thing with Hubble was a lot of the discoveries that Hubble made, we had no idea that it was going to make those discoveries. We just didn't know. We just don't know really, at the end of the day, everything that it's going to be able to see. Astronomers have a way of using these tools to come up with discoveries that we had never anticipated, and I think this is a great example. No problem, Marty. You just make sure you put on the notifications, and then you can get a notification when we do this live stream again. Josh Huckle, why don't you ever stream on Twitch ever? So I do about 4 or 5 hours of streaming every week on various services, and I would like to add Twitch again and go back and do some gaming. I think we're gonna do some space games. I'm still trying to figure out a format because I feel like last night you could watch wrestling streaming and there was like 8,000 people watching that on Twitch, so it's a pretty busy crowd, and there'd be nobody watching me over on Twitch, so I'd have to build up a new audience over on Twitch. It's a thing that we can do. If you promise to watch, if you're already subscribed to me over on Twitch, then I will add 1 hour of Twitch live streaming every week. Hey, Ignatiy Romanov Jarangovsky. Radis of the Dudes, Kerbal Space Program. Yeah, obviously we'll do Kerbal Space Program or Space Engineers or something like that. But, I am really enjoying the live stream and sort of being able to connect with people directly, and I'm going to try and make that available I'm going to sort of overdo it for the next couple of months and do, live streams on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Just try them all out and see what works. My Twitch is FCain. But the one right now, I gotta say I'm enjoying the most is actually Instagram. Here on YouTube and over on Instagram. So if you haven't already, follow Universe Today over on Instagram. And we're having a lot of fun with that. Culture Best. Hello, Fraser. As a young person who loves astronomy and space, my math sucks. I don't know what to tell you. Astronomy, if you want to be an astronomer and an astrophysics, your math needs to get better. But, math isn't a thing, I think, that you are good at or bad at. Math is a thing that you practice, that you start with simpler versions of a thing, and then you practice the equations, and you drill them, and you drill them, and you get to the point that they're all in your brain, and then you're able to do the math and get a high mark. The only reason that you're not getting a high mark is because you're not practicing the math, drilling the basics to the point that it's all stuck in your head. To take your math to the next level, though, that's where the creativity comes in, right? That's when you start to make these logical leaps. When you reach like a PhD level of math, then you are adding to the understanding of knowledge in the sphere of mathematics. And so that's a whole other creature. That's when you got to bring your creativity to all of the mathematics that you've drilled. So if you're telling me that you're not good at math, my guess is that you are good at math. You're just as good as everybody else is at math. It's just that you haven't spent the time to drill the fundamentals and then drill the new things that you're learning. And it might be that you have to spend more time drilling it than other people, but that's fine. That's just reality. So either go to something else or commit to getting better at your math. There's really no other way around it. And you'll find that, the professional astronomers, they're using the same math again and again and again. It just becomes rote. But there's some pretty complicated math that they're having to do depending on it. So that's my recommendation for you. And that's the same thing for everything, right? Like my degree is in computer science, and I forced myself in computer science every time, even though there's lots of tools that automate all of the different, linking in all the libraries and doing all the preparation stuff. I threw all that away and forced myself to code everything by rote memory. And by doing so, it allowed me to write programs and understand the underlying technology that was going on. And I think that's just something that we all need to do. Same thing with language. If you're trying to learn another language, practice the verbs, right? Like you just have, like, whatever you're not good at, you have to identify it in yourself, and then you have to go after it and kill it, right? Whatever it is. And so this is a good example. Like right now, like I don't know how YouTube live streaming from my phone works, so I just picked it up, and now I'm learning how it works, and I'm gonna try and break it, and that's just how I operate. So, Archon Wu, can you speak Klingon? No, I can't. I've only got one language. Well, I've got a little bit of French and a little bit of Spanish, but mostly just English, which is kind of sad as a Canadian because Canadians pride themselves in having French as another language. I don't like how these comments sort of disappear. So, Michael Jobin's here. Sweet. All right. So let's get another question. Imtisal Nasir, what do you think about the black hole emerging in the solar system? I think that you have no idea how black holes work and what the state of astronomy is, which is cool. So there is no black hole emerging in the solar system. If there was, then it would consume, it would throw the whole solar system out of whack and kick all the planets out into deep space, or gobble them up as a black hole. It would be a disaster nightmare. Even if an object the mass of Jupiter passed through the solar system, it would be a total disaster. So, my guess is that there's some crazy website that posted that. The same thing with like the Planet X people who think there's going to be some rogue planet passing through the solar system, and it's just not a reality, right? So now, if a black hole were to appear in the solar system, but this is kind of amazing, right? Let's say you replaced the sun with a black hole of the same mass, nothing would change. All of the planets would orbit this new black hole. The sun would be gone. The only difference is that the solar system would be dark because there would be no light source anymore. But a black hole at the end of the day is just a center of mass. It's only when you get really close into the event horizon that actually the black hole consumes anything. So that's, don't worry about it. If there was a black hole anywhere near the solar system, we would know about it. Colin Jones, sorry. If Betelgeuse is a red giant, will we show some sign before the big boom? Maybe, maybe not, right? This is one of the things that astronomers are trying to search for. And if you watch the last episode of the weekly space hangout that we did, we talked to an astronomer from one of my favorite proposed projects, which is the Large Synoptic Sky Survey. The problem with supernovas is we only find them after they've happened. It's very rare that astronomers have any data of a supernova that's happened before it goes off, so you can sort of see if there's any warning signs. With the Large Synoptic Survey telescope, we will get this really comprehensive view of the night sky and maybe be able to find these precursor objects. Right now, we have no idea. Betelgeuse could go off immediately, and it would just become the brightest star in the sky, visible during the daylight for a while, and then it'll fade away. And right now, we know that it's going to happen in the next 100,000 years, million years, but we don't know exactly when it's going to happen. And that's one of the things that we need to understand better. There's a bunch of those right now. Eta Carinae is another one. There's a few others. These super red giants, super blue giants that are definitely going to explode, definitely within, geologically speaking, of very quickly next few 100,000 years. But we don't know exactly when it's going to happen, and there may very well be. There's going to be some precursor events that happen, and we just won't be able to know. Okay, so Ansgans asks, what is below the Earth? I know that above the Earth there is a radiation belt. Well, what do you mean by below the Earth? The Earth is surrounded by a magnetic sphere, and the Van Allen belts surround the Earth, and these are sort of a radioactive zone that you would have to pass through if you tried to move. But remember, the Earth is a sphere, so there's no such thing as above or below or to the right or to the left. There's just, you can go in any direction and you kind of see the same thing. The atmosphere surrounds us, the magnetosphere surrounds us, and the Van Allen belts surround us. So there's no real below or above. Wherever you're standing on the Earth and you look up, that's up to you. But if I'm on the opposite side of the world, that's down to me. So, why is outer space cold? So Matthew Bryan's wanting to know why space is cold. Well, temperature when we have something that is temperature, there's only a few ways that things can change in their temperature. The first thing is that they can be touching, and so the temperature can conduct to them. They can be convective, so you can have like air molecules that are carrying temperature and they move over, or can they be radiative, and that's where energy passes through the vacuum of space to warm something up. And that's what's going on with the sun, right? The sun is heating us up through radiation, through its infrared radiation. So space itself, if there's no particle to be warmed up, then there is no temperature, right? If you have like a hydrogen atom that's out in space, radiation is hitting it and photons are heating it up, then it has a temperature. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And so space itself is tremendously empty of anything. And so it is also tremendously empty of temperature. The background temperature of the entire universe is this 2.7 Kelvin, the leftover heat from the Big Bang. But that's only what it is now, as it's been cooling off over the 13.8 billion years that the universe has been around. If you go back early on in the universe, it was tens of degrees. It was, there's a time, which is really amazing, a few million years after the Big Bang, that the entire universe was warm enough that all water was liquid. That between 0 degrees centigrade and 100 degrees centigrade, all water was liquid. And so it was sort of a cool idea that there could have been habitable life just a few million years after the Big Bang, because water was everywhere. So that's why space is cold. It's just like the universe has been cooling off for 13.8 billion years. You take something out of the oven and leave it for 13.8 billion years. It's gonna get cool. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna grab another question. Banana Split 961. Where is the center of the universe? There is no center of the universe. So let's just do a little thought experiment, right? So here's the first thought, is that the universe is infinite. So where is the center of the universe if it's infinite? Well, infinity goes on forever in all directions. So there's no center, right? The other possibility is that the universe is finite, that is, it is of a certain size. But it is finite in a way that you return to your starting point wherever you go. So I'll give you an analogy, right? You're on the Earth, and if you travel in any one direction on the Earth, which is a finite amount of space, you'll return to your starting point. So, what is the center of the surface of the Earth? It's everywhere. So that's sort of a way to think about it. You look in all directions, and everything is moving away from you. And so, but if you're in one of those other locations, everything is moving away from them. And no matter where you go in the universe, everything is moving away from you. So there really is no center to the universe. Cookie Wookie, why are the no videos coming from you? We did, 2 videos last week? And we've got a new video that is just in editing right now. Man, I even forget the topic, but it's a cool one. So we're still kind of trying to wrestle with this. So a lot of the feedback from people was that they wanted the videos to be longer. And so if you look at back some of the earliest videos that we did, they were about 2, 3, 4 minutes long, 280 episodes ago. And now they are 10, they're, getting to the 10-minute mark. This new one I think is going to be, the one that I just wrote, should be 12, 14 minutes long. So they're much longer, much harder to do. And we're putting in a lot more video, a lot more of other things. So we're still trying to figure out that balance. Reality is I just need to write more. I need to write more and more and more, and I will. So thank you for the reminder and the kick in the butt, and I will keep grinding. In fact, I am procrastinating right now doing this live stream when I really should be writing. So I'll write a second this is over. Man, I just wrote a video. Oh, right. What did we're going to talk about Cassini's death and the really cool things that we learned from Cassini. And today I'm going to try and explain the holographic principle, but I don't know whether I can. I've called in a bunch of my friends to help. All right. Shane Montero, is it worth to study astronomy or astrophysics in university, or should I stick to engineering? Well, you got to follow your heart. So I went to university for engineering and failed out of the University of British Columbia, and then went into computer science. So that was the problem. So you've just got to follow your heart. If you want to be an astronomer, an astrophysicist, and not an engineer, then you need to go into those. You got to understand, though, there's lots of jobs for engineers. There aren't as many jobs for astronomers and astrophysicists. The way to sort of split the middle, in my opinion, is to go after like computer science, like do astronomy and astrophysics, but really lean heavily on your computer science. And what that'll do is that'll give you a really good backup career if this whole astronomy thing doesn't work out. Iron Man Australia, how's it going, man? It's good to see you here. Why are you filming on a potato cam in 2017? YouTube gave me the live stream ability today on my phone, and I said, well, whenever anyone gives me a new tool, I try to break it. So here I am, playing with the new toy that YouTube gave me, and I'm going to try and break it. I think I would prefer to stream sideways, but apparently I can't do that until I restart it. So the next stream I'll try and do it this way. I don't know. When I turn it this way, does that work, or am I just sideways on your desktop? So I am dedicated to giving you the best possible audio and visual experience that I can, Iron Man, and it's just a matter of time for me to figure it all out. Yeah, I thought I was sideways. All right. Except someone said it works fine. So if you're on a phone, then when I turn it sideways, you can turn it sideways too, and I'm sure that works. But if you're watching on desktop, then it doesn't work. So there you go. This is all for you, Iron Man. L Torture. L Torture. You have to explain that username. If we exceed the speed of light, can we enter a new dimension? Uh, Man, there's so much tied up in that. So we can't exceed the speed of light according to the laws of physics as we understand, right? Like, yeah, everyone needs to turn their desktop monitor sideways. That's what you're gonna have to do. Right? So the laws, according to the laws of physics, we can't travel faster than the speed of light. Now I know you've seen Star Wars and you've seen Star Trek and you've seen people travel faster than the speed of light, and that is just science fiction lying to you. Now, maybe, just maybe, there's the Alcubierre drive, and maybe there's some kind of technology that that we're not familiar with, and everything I'm saying right now, and Einstein is all wrong, and you can travel faster than the speed of light. But right now, as we understand the laws of physics, you can never travel faster than the speed of light. So your first part of your premise, unfortunately, like I hate to be the bearer of bad news, right? Like I love me some Star Trek too, but you can't travel faster than the speed of light. So that's the first problem. Second problem is like, what does it actually mean to go to another dimension? And once again, this is where Star Trek and Stargate and things like that have broken your brain, right? You've got we've got three dimensions in our, three spatial dimensions in our universe. Maybe mathematically there are more spatial dimensions, maybe 11 if string theory is right, but there's no way to test string theory. So when we think of another dimension, once again, what does that even mean, right? Is there another universe? Once again, we have no idea if there are other universes. If maybe this universe is infinite, it goes on forever. Maybe there are other, multiverses. Maybe there are other universes. But once again, there's no evidence that these things exist. So can we break the laws of physics to travel to a place that is hypothetical? Maybe. So Vinny says, do you believe in the multiverse is just a hypothesis? Yeah, it's absolutely a hypothesis, right? This idea that there are multiple universes. One of the things, again, I'm not an astrophysicist, not a cosmologist, I am a journalist, but I get a chance to hear Dr. Pamela Gay every week explain this to me, so I'll do the best I can to try and sort of explain her thinking, which is one of the implications of quantum theory is the many worlds hypothesis. So every time some probability collapses, multiple universes are created, right? And the math works, which is great, go math. But it doesn't necessarily match reality. Just because you can do something mathematically doesn't mean that this thing is real, right? One of the other possibilities is that the formation of the universe itself came from bubbles expanding into each other. Once again, this is great. No way to test this. Therefore, until we have some new discovery, some new observation, all of these ideas are just nice to have. Now, Arjun is saying, if the universe is infinite, then there would necessarily be multiple universes. And that's right, that if the universe was infinite, then you would have essentially repetition, because matter can only be organized, matter and energy can only be organized into a finite number of configurations. So if you have a cubic meter of space, there's only a set number of ways that cubic meter of space can be organized. And so if you went on forever, then you're eventually going to see repeats. And eventually those repeats are going to be things like entire planets or, entire galaxies. And not only will you see them once, you see them an infinite number of times. And so there's an infinite number of Earths, or an infinite number of Frasers, or doing an infinite number of live streams. But in some of those, he has a beautiful head of hair, and other cases, an evil mirror universe beard, and so on, right? And every combination is possible. So, we could go on, and so that's sort of the possibility of having multiple universes within this universe. And it's not really a multiple universe. It's just what happens when you have a finite space within an infinite universe, which is super weird. Repeat Earth, yeah. Let's see. Greetings from Russia. My English is not very good. I can't even read your username, so your English is better than my Russian. I hope you understood. What place do the Russian cosmonauts occupy in your heart and brain? Anyone willing and capable of flying to space has my ultimate and undying respect, whether they are from the United States or whether they're from Russia or they're from Canada where I live. Of course, Chris Hadfield. Well, okay, Chris Hadfield is the best. I'll say that right now, and throw down. But still, anyone willing to go to space. I mean, you've got to be a really special person to be able to go to space. You know that your chances of returning alive are, there. Many people have died traveling to space. They are well trained. They are in sort of incredible physical health. They are the best of the best. And until space becomes a routine and safe place for us to visit, hats off to them. So that is sort of, I think it's really sad that the Russians are starting to pull away from their commitments to the International Space Station. This is the best. This is one of the most amazing accomplishments that Russia has done, and I really hope that they stick with it and continue to collaborate with the rest of the world in the space program. We are made stronger by working together. Let's see. Rausan, would you go to space? People always want to know this. No, I wouldn't go to space until it's safe. Right? All those things I explained, they're in incredible physical shape, they are well trained, they have multiple advanced degrees, they understand and are okay with the risks to their body. I'm not ready for any of that. So get back to me when it's safe. Until then, I will celebrate and cheer them on, but I'm not going to do it yet, until it's safe, and then I'll go. The goat, do you believe the amount of dark energy is increasing? So that's not an opinion, right? That is just a question of evidence. And right now, the evidence is inconclusive. Is the amount of dark energy, this is of course this mysterious expansive force that's accelerating the expansion of the universe, is it increasing? If it is increasing, then we have a big problem. And this is where it's going to lead to this concept of the Big Rip, where the universe is going to tear itself apart. If it's not happening, then the expansion of the universe is going to just continue apace, and all of the galaxies are going to be forever, thrown apart from each other. And, in the end, both suck. It's funny though, right? I mean, we think about these events that are going to happen billions of years in the future, and we have this sort of sadness. We're like, oh, the universe is going to tear itself apart billions of years after I'm dead, right? But I'm going to eat another donut. So we have a difficult time coming to grips with the threats that we personally face in our day-to-day existence, as opposed to necessarily the greater threats that that we sort of imagine from the universe. So it's so funny, right? People are concerned about the sun destroying the earth in 5 billion years, but they aren't concerned about the greenhouse gases that they're polluting. That's just the way we are. That's the way humans are. So it's and that's the big. So I don't know. Mars Oler, do you think that SpaceX will get people to Mars on time? No. And I mean, if you've watched the Weekly Space Hangout, right, we have this term we call Musk time, and this is, of course, that Musk tends to fulfill his promises, but he just does it late, and that's fine. I mean, if it's going to be a couple of years later for human beings to set foot on the surface of Mars, I'll take it. Right? Elon Musk thinks he's going to send the first colonists in 2024. If it comes in 2026, I will still consider that a win. You know what? If it happens in 2036, I will still consider that a win. If it comes in 2046, then he's falling down on the job, and I'll be really disappointed. But Elon Musk isn't watching right now, so I'm sure he won't feel bad. Eureka Roberto, what do you think of Mars One? Uh, Man, everyone is known by watching the Mars One, the way they positioned the program, the way they've gone about it, that it's been a long shot. We actually had Bas Landauer. If you do a search on the Weekly Space Hangout, I interviewed Bas Landauer, asked him a bunch of tough questions. It seems like a long shot. It seems like the Musk approach of building a giant rocket, making a ton of money on that giant rocket, will get you to Mars. That's the way it's going to work. That selling the media rights to it is, doesn't seem like it's that feasible. At the same time, if they keep going and if they keep raising money, and then who knows what's going to happen? And if they sort of still here when Musk is providing regular flights to Mars, and the price per flight is $100,000, and they're able to raise funds for people to go on those trips, then it's not a crazy idea. I think one of the things that Mars One has been doing that I think we can appreciate is raising money and helping to work out some of the science that SpaceX and Elon Musk has really glossed over, right? The way we see the SpaceX Mars colonial transport system right now, or the interplanetary network, is they're just going to dump people on the surface of Mars. Like, we got you there. What you do now is not our problem, and that is, I think, a really great challenge for other people. Is like, what do you do when you get there? How are you going to eat? How are you going to be protected from radiation? What are you going to build with? How are you going to get your water? How are you going to build your rocket fuel? All these are questions that need to be answered. And, were I Mars One, I would be dedicating myself to trying to answer as many of those questions as I could, and then supplying the outcome. And that would help build legitimacy for the organization that I'm trying to create, and at the same time try to get more and more connected to actually sending humans to Mars. So that's my take on Mars One. It seems like an incredible long shot. We'll see what happens. The raddest of the dudes. I was wondering why the Roman Catholic Church held on to the geocentric model for so long following Copernicus. Well, I mean, it's not just the Catholic Church is holding onto the geocentric model. Many do, and that is many of the religions have held on to that interpretation. And I think part of it is because it goes against what it says in the Bible. And so, what do you do when your document is different from reality that you discover? So you have to either think that they're alternative facts, right? Or you have to acknowledge that this document that you believe in is not infallible, and so that is sort of a deeper existential crisis that a religious institution has to deal with. And you see that with evolution, and you see that with the Big Bang. You see with all these things that if you accept reality, if you probe reality and understand nature as it truly is, it's going to conflict with the religious documents that you've created. So, Hal, stop thinking so much of all your hair will fall off, dude. I'm beyond that. I'm done. Right, all my hair has fallen off, so too late for me. Let's see. Graham Haddon. Now, do you think that now that the metallic hydrogen has been made, that they will be able to manufacture it in commercial quantities? Not yet, right? Metallic hydrogen is this theorized version of hydrogen that exists at the cores of the giant gas planets like Jupiter, that takes the pressure and temperature of an entire Jovian planet to make this substance that where you compress hydrogen to the point that it acts like metal. That's amazing. And to be able to create that in the lab, apparently it was super difficult. They had to they weren't able to get it because they kept destroying their apparatus until they finally were able to make it happen. That's a tremendous accomplishment. And as we've seen in computers and technology and things like that, to go from being able to create something once to being able to make something dependably, repeatably, so that we can use some purpose for it, that's a whole other world, and it could be decades before, if maybe never, there may be no practical use for metallic hydrogen. But it sounds super cool, right? It sounds like it's rocket fuel. I mean, someone's got to figure out what to do with it. So we'll have to wait and see. I'll talk to the researchers. I'll get them on the. I'll write this right down. I will get the researchers for metallic hydrogen on the Space Hangout so we can talk to them. All right. Let's see. The Resident Skeptic, space elevator, possible. Right now, and there's people who have dedicated their lives to making a space elevator possible. Right now, a space elevator is really at the very limit of of the material strength that we have. You need carbon nanotubes to be able to provide the capabilities of a space elevator. So as always, right, the best way to build something is to find something where it's easier, make a tiny version of it, and then if that works, then go from there. So the best place to build a space elevator is actually on the moon, where the force of gravity is much less. The strength of the material that you're going to require is much lower. You can do it with spectra or Kevlar, things like that, and you could build it. We could build a space elevator today on the moon and start bringing things up from the surface of the moon. That said, and then you're like, yeah, but that's hard. Well, yes, it's hard to build a elevator on the moon. You've got to be able to fly out into space. You got to unravel a tether down. You've got to attach it on the ground. You've got to build lifting robots that can go up to the top. Every challenge that you're going to face with building a space elevator on Earth, you're going to face that on the moon first. So start with a super simple version on the moon and then go from there. Man, people are fighting in the comments. Wow. Okay. Rajet Saxena, who are you? My name is Fraser Cain. I am the publisher of Universe Today, the YouTube channel that you're following, I'm guessing, right now. So if you enjoy the space chat that we're having right now, we do a bunch of shows every week. We do the weekly Space Hangout on Friday, where we talk about the big space news. I try to release a couple of videos a week, sometimes where I explain cool concepts in space and astronomy. And now I think we're going to try and do some QA episodes where I answer people's questions. And now I think we're going to try and do some live streaming. Yeah, Carla is telling you, just don't worry about trolls. Man, if I stopped to engage with trolls. Okay, anyway. You want to? Okay, so you want to know what I thought about Interstellar? Fine, I'll jump into this conversation. There was a whole bunch of things that I really enjoyed about Interstellar. The fact, all of the physics with the time dilation and things like that was amazing. And Kip Thorne, who is a legend in astrophysics, one of the people who has done a tremendous amount of work in black holes, did the physics behind this movie. It was phenomenal, the level of care and detail, the simulations that they showed of the black hole. So that was all tremendous. The parts that I had trouble with were the parts where they abandoned the science, right? Like, if you try to travel into a supermassive black hole, you will be torn apart by the tremendous tidal forces and squeezed into a stream of atoms. You will not travel to a library and have control over time. So that's all. That's my only concern, and it would have been possible to be able to tell that story without having, spoiler alert, it would have been possible to tell that story without going into the kind of the less scientific stuff. So that's all. That's my concern. When I think about what they did with The Martian, right? At every point, they kept it in the world of science, and they told a really great story. Uh, it's when you feel the need to abandon the science to tell your story that it's like, why should you do that? I'll give you a classic example, right? Like, when you're watching a Transformers movie and somebody falls from the sky and a robot puts its hand out and catches a person and safely. Well, that's not what would happen, right? You're falling from the sky, you're landing on metal, and you get every bone in your body broken. But all the writer had to do was say the Transformer reaches up and helps catch the person and slow them down as they're falling, so that you turn what is a fatal fall into a non-fatal fall. It's just as easy for them to animate. It's just as easy for them to write into the story. It makes no difference, and yet it matches reality. Now, of course, you've got gigantic transforming robots, so that doesn't match reality. But still, this is my point, right? And I wish that they would do that do that more and more with science fiction. It only takes a second, really, for you to bring in a physicist, to bring in a scientist, to look through what you're doing and say, okay, where could we tighten up the science on this script, and then come up with ideas that are better. So, we always want to give we want to give them the gotcha, right? You want to give yes, time travel is possible. Sure, we can travel faster than the speed of light, things like that. So that is, every movie that I watch, I'll give them one of those. But then for all the other little stuff, just put in the effort to make the science be realistic. So that's all. What's up, Eric W? We doing chat Q&A? We are. I am testing the way I break all the things. I'm live. I just got access to YouTube's mobile live stream, so I thought I'd give it a try. There's a huge amount of lag. That's because the internet is stupid. So I apologize. We live on Vancouver Island, and we had a huge storm, and apparently our internet capacity is reduced here, so I apologize. Resident Skeptic, why are you affirming vertically? Because when I turn the things I learned by picking things up and pressing all the buttons and seeing what happens. Apparently I had to set the stream horizontal or vertical, and I didn't. So enjoy this. Is this better? No. So it won't let me, it's now locked and won't let me rotate the device, which is kind of dumb, but I guess that's how they've set it up. I will, tomorrow, make sure, when I do another live stream, I'll make sure that it is set in the proper configuration. Mazoller, will China mine the moon before we get to Mars? Mine the moon or put humans on the moon? I think China is working in a very directed approach to put human beings on the moon, and they're looking to do it soon. They've tested out putting rovers on the moon. They've tested sending spacecraft in orbit around the moon and further away. They've tested astronauts up in their space stations. They've built a second space station. They are building a capacity and capability to be able to send humans to the moon. That's my feeling anyway on what they're doing and where they're putting their emphasis. So if you think that it's important to race them to the moon, then hurry up and other people should go to the moon. If not, we're gonna get to Mars, if Elon Musk is correct, by 2024. So we'll see what happens. Rosie Turner, am I famous? Internet famous? Does that count? Is that a thing? Yeah. China will have turned it into dodgy toys and electronics. Oh. That maybe used to be the case, but you want to go buy a drone, you're going to buy a drone from a Chinese manufacturer right now. Like they're trying to race to the top, not a race to the bottom. People thought they'd see me in a film. No, people thought they'd see me. There was a character in Stranger Things that apparently I look like, and people think that I look like. I'm trying to think of those other people. Anyway, see you later, 3 Dog, 1963. Face TV is saying that India went to Mars on the cheap. So do you think India could surprise everyone and put someone on Mars first? No, I don't. Well, maybe, but the fact that India sent the mom spacecraft to Mars is an amazing accomplishment, an absolute testament to the capability of the engineers at in India. It's a fantastic accomplishment, and they did it cheap and they did it well, and the spacecraft is doing a great job. So, huge props to them. But to send humans to space is a whole other level of complexity and difficulty, and so I don't think that that's gonna happen before everyone else. But we'll see. Hey, Jim Meeker just showed up. I can see someone just put a message into the Slack, didn't you? I can see all of the people showing up. So how awesome is that? Hello to the Weekly Space Hangout crew. Welcome to the new thing, which is that I literally just hours ago got access to the YouTube live stream from my phone, which I think is probably garbage, but I'm testing it out. Apparently, and people watch it from this is a problem. I mentioned this earlier in the live stream, that now we're so used to streaming from our phones vertically like this, while we're so used to streaming from our desktops horizontally like this, and we have a problem. So I'm not sure what the solution to this problem is. My wife is a huge vertical photo taker, and it's the weirdest thing. And I'm always having to go no, if you're going to take video, turn the camera sideways. But now maybe she's right after all, and we're just moving vertical. So there you go. Right, so the Sylvan Westby is noting, more about the Slack here. So we have a great community with the WSH crew. This is the community that surrounds the stuff that we do on the Weekly Space Hangout. If you want to be a part of it, totally go and join that. Ben Kalo, what's the latest with the Eclipse meeting in Kansas? I don't know. We're doing one in St. Louis, and we're full. So I don't know about that. Guido Bieber just got sorted out. Sound is perfect. Video is a bit meh. So the sound, I think I'm using I don't know if this works, I'm using my headset. The video is meh because it's using the front-facing camera on my phone, which is garbage. And my internet is still garbage, I think, because of this snowstorm that we're having on Vancouver Island. I've been trying to run some analysis of my internet, and it's crap. I might actually talk to my ISP. Bridget Mahat, do you think that space hibernation is possible? Yeah, I think we have evidence that mammals can be put into some kind of hibernation for long periods of time, and humans are mammals, so it does seem like it's theoretically possible for us to put humans into some kind of hibernation. Do we want it to be? So it's the audio wasn't coming from the neck mic. It must be coming. I'll try tapping this side. Is it that side, or is it down here? Okay. Yeah. So it seems possible. We'll see what happens. The phone goes high pitched, so then maybe the microphone is going to be under here. I don't want to block up the. There you go. I want to block up my microphone, so I gotta know not to do that. Yeah, that was a little unsettling, I'm sure. Weird that the voice is higher pitched though. Well, it changed when you rotated the screen. What? Weird. Okay. S1N T31K, are the Voyager probes still functioning? Yes, they are, which is phenomenal, right? The Voyager probes are still going, which is just, I just can't believe it, right? And they're helping us understand the actual limits of our solar system. Where does the solar system interact with the interstellar space? It's so cool. Maybe time. So Reza says maybe time is just speeding up for you. That's exactly it. You are moving so quickly that time dilation is sort of starting to happen. So you might want to slow down, man. You're just going too fast. Let's see, what else?
Graham Hayden, if a Saturn V launched from space, what would its top speed be? I think so. If you had a Saturn V rocket in space, it all depends on the payload, right? So what, how fast could you get? How much delta V could a Saturn V rocket deliver from if it was already outside of the gravity well of the Earth? I have no idea. Some rocket scientists can do the math on that, and then depending on how much of a payload that it had. So. Reno Nasky, do I believe in the Alcubierre drive? We don't know. Right now, according to the laws of physics, there's no way to travel faster than the speed of light. Maybe you can stretch space and make that be the way that you travel faster than the speed of light. Maybe it will take more energy than the entire universe to make that possible. We don't know. And the Alcubierre, science fiction told us that we really want to travel faster than the speed of light. It's the thing we want most because we want to be able to zip from world to world. I do. I get it. We want to do that. But we, it might very well be that we can never travel faster than the speed of light. That's just going to be the reality of the universe. And we have to get comfortable with the fact that we have to travel slower than the speed of light. That might just be our harsh reality, and I'm sorry to say that. I'm trying to be the bearer of bad news. But we'll keep searching for new physics, new techniques, new methods of going faster and faster, and maybe we will figure it out. But the resident skeptic says is exactly right? Like, do we really need it? Can't we get to Andromeda in weeks with sublight speed travel? So you can't get there in weeks, but you can get there in years. The only problem, right, is if you constantly accelerate faster and faster and faster, from your perspective, you will be constantly accelerating. But the only price that you have to pay and as you do, the distance to your destination shortens. This is sort of one of the consequences of relativity. And so you only spend a couple of years, if you're constantly accelerating, traveling to Andromeda. The problem is that millions of years will have happened while you were making this trip. So for you, it's only a few years. For the rest of the universe, millions of years have happened. And so you can get to, you could get to billions of light years away in your lifetime. You just have to have a way to constantly accelerate and be willing to, be set apart from the rest of the universe by billions of years. Here we go. Sylvan Westby. Someone has calculated the total delta V for the 3 stages of the Saturn V is 18 kilometers per second. Hilariously, that's not that's right. That's what the next episode is about, is how do you, can we throw garbage into the sun? It turns out you can't, even going that fast, you couldn't drop garbage into the sun. You need to be going, 30 kilometers per second to be able to remove the Earth's sideways velocity and drop garbage into the sun. So we talk about that in the next episode of The Guide to Space. Let's see. Herb Scott, how would you stop at Andromeda? Right, so you would constantly accelerate for half of your time, and then you would turn around and you would constantly decelerate for the other half of the time. We did a video on this. It's called How Far Can We Travel? And we sort of do the math at the amazing distances and how time dilation works under constant acceleration. As I said, the only downside is one, it's impossible to constantly accelerate. There you go. Someone Westby says Saturn V on top of 100 Saturn V. So there you go. That's all it would take to get you to the sun, to remove your motion. So it turns out that trying to throw garbage into the sun is the most difficult place in the entire solar system to send anything, which is hilarious. Like, if you wanted to drop things down the garbage chute, but the garbage chute was in space, it's way harder than that. So, So what is the? Someone wanted to know. Right, Sam Lambrecht. What do you personally think is the best way in the near future to travel through the solar system? Solar sail. Well, I mean, the best way right now is probably a nuclear powered ion drive. That's sort of the technology that we know how to do. We know how to make nuclear. Well, not really a nuclear reactor, but what they have on Curiosity and New Horizons and things like that, right? So it's an RTG. That can generate electricity. You then fire that electricity through an ion drive, but it gives you a tremendous amount of electricity to power up your ion drive, and you could get pretty serious acceleration and deceleration. That is, I think, the best way to get around the solar system today. Someone needs to launch one of these, and you could have a probe go and visit and go into orbit around each one of Jupiter's big moons if you had one of these RTG powered ion drives. So that's the way to do it. For the future, though, I do think that solar sails is great, not necessarily because it's fast, but because it's essentially a limitless amount of fuel, right? All you have to do is just turn your solar sail one way and you get to raise your orbit, and turn it a different way and you get to lower your orbit. Use lasers and you can zap these solar sails faster. So you can imagine a future civilization that has set up really cool lasers across the solar system, and they are zapping probes from world to world. That would be the future, I think, of long-term future of space exploration. It's renewable. I think it's the way to go. Makiti Tasha, is anyone launching an ion drive? Sure. There's a bunch of ion drives. NASA's Dawn mission uses an ion drive. Deep Space One used an ion drive. There's a lot of ion drives out there, and I think we're just starting to get a sense of what we can use these ion drives for. I don't think New Horizons didn't use an ion drive. They used a regular one. Speaking of New Horizons, did you see who our guest is going to be on Friday on the Weekly Space Hangout? It's going to be Dr. Alan Stern, the primary investigator of New Horizons. So, no, it's just got a rocket, really big rocket, was the way they used how they got New Horizons there. What's the best catnip? R3 Conwoo. Do you play any space simulations or anything like that? I've played some Kerbal Space Program. Oh no! Dr. Stern had... Oh no! Alan Stern had to reschedule. Oh, that sucks. Okay, well, we'll get him eventually. Kerbal Space Program I like. I'm not very good at it, though. I mean, it's hard. And so Scott Manley is the person to watch play Kerbal Space Program. That guy's a beast. Psyche, Jandrak is saying that Psyche is going to use an ion drive, which is awesome, which is totally true, right? The Psyche is visiting to this metal asteroid that appears to be the core of a destroyed planet, and made of metal. So it would be super interesting for them to send a spacecraft there, and I guess they'll use an ion drive, which is cool. We're going to see ion drives more and more and more, right? They're great. Let's see. Verstovsek, what is with the line of evil? Is the Earth really the center of the universe? So you're talking about the axis of evil, which is, we still kind of don't know. It's this weird shape that's in the cosmic microwave background radiation. That's still trying to be figured out. Fraser Cain has Super Chat enabled. Yeah, I get all the tools, all the toys. The resident skeptic. How seriously is the astrophysics community taking the impossible EM drive? Not very seriously. And we did on the Weekly Space Hangout, we had a great chat with Dr. Paul Metzetter, and he kind of tore the research, the paper that they had done apart, not necessarily because it was, the underlying concepts aren't necessarily feasible, but like the way they reported, the way they did their tests was just not great. So right now, I would say that there's almost no support from the astrophysics community that this thing works. More tests are going to get done, but people are testing it, right? NASA engineers from NASA are taking their personal time to test it out, and so let's give it a chance to find out. Attack wants to know if we're going to get a 100K special video. I don't know. It's like we're like 1,000 away now, so I don't know what would be a special video that you would want. Do you want to do a live stream where we'll just pass through the 100K mark? We could do that. I'll live stream forever if that's what you people want. I'll be your puppet. I don't know. What do you want? You tell me. Richard Herbst, if you had a choice, at which point in the past or future history of the universe would you have wanted to be alive? That's a good question. We are alive at a time that is past the universe's prime. The amount of star formation that's going on, the amount of energy is lower and lower. And so, ideally we would have been around billions and billions of years ago and had a lot more energy and just a better party. But into the future, I want to find out. I'm most interested just to find out what happens to humanity in the future. 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 1,000 years from now. Like, if I could choose, and you could promise me that it would be safe and that things work out, I would love to go into the future and see what happens. So that would be my preference, to go into the future. Throw a live stream party with Amy Shearer title to celebrate together. Yeah, is she close to 100K? We should totally do that. Trying to do a collaboration with Amy, but she's gotten busy. She's gotten popular. Thanks, Jason Emmons, for liking and subscribing. I'd be interested to know how you found out about the live stream if you weren't already subscribed. So, anyway. VeggieT 2009, 100K is a cinematic retelling of the video What If We Do Find Aliens? Get Steven Spielberg as a screenwriter and Christopher Nolan to direct. Done. If they'll do it, I'll bring them on board. Amy unwrapped her silver play button recently, so there you go. I should be getting mine soon too, as long as you tell all your friends to subscribe. Adam Synergy is wondering which encoding software I'm using for a live stream. I just got access today to the live stream capability on YouTube, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm just using it. And apparently I should have set it up horizontally, and I will do that. There you go. I think I'm going to wrap this up now. This has been fun. We've gone for an hour, 7 minutes. I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do one more live stream where I see if I can make the thing go horizontally. So that'll be, and then I'll delete that. So if you keep watching, I will show up a second live stream. I'm literally just going to find out if it works as horizontal, and then I'm going to shut it back down. So this was the real live stream. That is a thing that is going to show up in a second, and then it's going to be destroyed, never to happen again. What's happening shortly? Our new video, Can You Send Nuclear Waste into the Sun, should be showing up in a couple of days. We're going to be doing Astronomy Cast tomorrow at a special bat time, special bat channel. We're going to be doing the Weekly Space Hangout on Friday. Not our guest as planned, so we'll have to figure out a new guest. And lots of other good stuff coming down the pike. The other thing to do, if you haven't already, is follow me on Instagram, because I've been having a lot of fun doing live streams on Instagram. It's a different crowd. They don't really know me and the science as much, but it's a lot of fun getting a chance to talk with them. So if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram. Follow Universe Today on Instagram. That's where I've been doing the live streams over there. When will the next live stream be? I don't know, but it'll probably be... I liked that Monday time. I was trying to do this yesterday, and technology was failing me. So I'm probably going to set up another QA for next Monday, and we'll do this on YouTube as long as people show up and are enjoying this. So as always, let me know what you think, and we'll see you on the next thing that we do. All right, here goes. I'm going to stop this one, and then I'm going to try another sideways one.